All right, YouTube, those of us that have children know that kids can be a challenge.
Because these kids are maniacs.
It doesn't matter if you have great kids, you have okay kids, or you have kids that give you a lot of issues. There's always difficult situations that arise involving your children.
These kids turned on me.
Stay tuned today on this video and on this channel as we talk about how to manage difficult situations involving your children. What is going on, YouTube, and welcome to or welcome back to Faith Like That. We are a Christian ministry that is dedicated to helping you live a clean life for Christ and to live that life abundantly. Hey, we're always dropping great content to help you grow that level of faith in your life and for your family. So go ahead and subscribe to our channel. You won't regret it. All right, so today again, we're here to talk about how to manage or deal with difficult situations involving your children, which is a challenge, and it comes up for everybody. Once you have children, even if you have great children, there are other situations that surround you and your children, your relationship and your family that you still have to manage and deal with. And in those situations, we want to give you sort of a framework of how to progress, how to move forward, how to deal with these things. And it may not apply to just every single issue, but it is a framework of how you can conduct yourself in the issue to portray those Christian values and to keep living that life that would be pleasing to God. So you ready to jump into it? Let's go.
Anything for the kids. Hey.
The first tip I want to give you about how to manage difficult situations is to set a good example. So much of what we do in our lives in front of our children teaches our children how to live and how to react and how to act in multiple situations. So when you don't act the right way, in other words, you acting bad in front of your children, and you tell them don't do what I do, do as I say, they're not going to do what you say, they're going to do what they saw you do.
But you don't do what you're told.
So when you hit a difficult situation, you want to make sure that you set a good example of how you should react, how you should control your emotions, and how you should deal with or talk through the situation to come to a resolution. And you want your children to see you do that because it sets a good example for how they will do it in the future and about how Christ or God would like you to handle that situation. So just like in the Bible it says we shouldn't be fighting, we shouldn't be suing, we should go to our brother and we should talk about the issues, and then we should bring another if there's still an issue, that the way that the Bible says to handle it that way, and make sure you watch your words and you watch your attitude while you do it, and it'll be a great example for your children. The second tip that I want to give you about dealing with difficult situations involving your children is to make sure that you communicate with your children. The main source of information, the main source of learning and education should be a child's parent. Now, in our modern day, a lot of us, we pass that off to the schools. And when they hit the school, we don't know who is really educating our children. It could be their best friend that's telling them most of the stuff they're learning. It could be a younger kid. It could be an older kid who's not led the right way. It could be teachers in textbooks.
Who taught you to slap?
But what we want our children to know, we need to make sure that they know and they learn and they're getting taught. So not that we can't use them as a resource to help our children learn to read, to write, learn science, learn history, but we should also be teaching our children the way they should go, the things they should know. Because if you don't know who's going to talk to that kid first about what happens and what they'll be believing. And not to say that you just have to believe what I do, because as a Christian, we believe everybody has a choice to believe. But we do want to make sure that what they're learning isn't bad teaching.
A really terrible teacher.
In the communities I grew up in, there wasn't a lot of communication with children. Children were in a child's place, adults were in an adult place, and they didn't talk about a lot of things. But having talked about some things would have changed my perspective on life, would have changed my decisions, would have changed the things that I did, and it really would have helped me to hear from them, my adults, my elders, and put them in child-friendly language, what I needed to do, decisions they made, why I should choose something different, and it really would have helped me. But otherwise, especially when it comes to sex, in the Christian community, we don't want to talk about sex a lot. But when we don't talk about it, we leave a child to go to school and learn about it from their friends or learn about it on their phone. You should be the source of information about these key and critical life topics to your children. The third tip that I want to give you for managing difficult situations with your children is to pray together and pray together often. There's only one person that I know to talk to that has complete control over everything, and that's Jesus Christ, our Father, the Lord, the triune God, God himself. So when we have issues, especially ones that we can't solve, we shouldn't look to the internet, we shouldn't look to Wikipedia, we shouldn't be looking at Oprah, we shouldn't be looking at Dr. Phil. We should be praying. And that's another example you want to set to your children, to when you hit difficult situations that you're in the midst of and you're working through, or while you're in the midst of you don't have an answer to, you should go to God in prayer. And you should have a routine, a rhythm of you doing that, your children seeing you do that, and you doing that with them.
I want you to pray with me now. Can you do that?
This teaches our children that when they're in difficult situations, that this is the way you handle them. You go to God in prayer. And let me tell you, for you, if you don't know this, if you're having a difficult situation, you need to go to God in prayer, because God answers prayer. Prayer changes things. Prayer can change hearts, change minds, change situations and circumstances. It can even change your perspective on the storm or the trouble or the mountain you're climbing right now. So you need to go to God in prayer and have a practice of doing so with your children. So the fourth tip I want to give you about how to manage difficult situations involving your children is to encourage your children to have a personal relationship with God. Now, I'm gonna tell you, the older you get, the harder it is, because you get set in your ways and your thinking to go have a relationship with God. But you should encourage the children of any to go have this relationship so that they grow up with this relationship and these routines and these rhythms of the Christian faith that we want them to have. If you're watching this video, I'm assuming that you want your kids to have that Christian faith of prayer and believing, and the relationships and the values and the morals and the virtues and the fruits of the Spirit. But they won't have those things if you don't teach them those things early and let them develop a routine at that and develop that relationship with Him. Because otherwise, then, just like many of us, we started as an adult, and as an adult, we have so many other things in our minds, some of the other priorities that we have to be taught out of some of these other ways that we have and into the ways that get us closer to God. So let's help our children and equip them and empower them to start early and have this relationship with God.
Do you have a real relationship with God, Nate?
So the fifth and final tip that I want to give you about how to manage difficult situations involving your children is to incorporate Christian values and teaching into everyday life. Because so much of what we learn from God is that we need to be able to endure, that there will be hard times, as they will be coming to persecute you, and how you react in those situations says a lot about your relationship with God and your connection to Him. So we want to teach our kids about the values of service, about the values of giving, about all these values and so much of their impact in their life. When people see the kind of person they are, it'll help them manage a lot of difficult situations and relationships themselves. Because some people just won't fool with your family and children because they know you're that kind of person. Hey, they do these kind of things, so we're not even going to go this way with that.
Just remember something. Don't mess with us, pal.
Other people will put you in certain positions, and your faith and your walk and your consistency and your practices and values will open doors for you in other situations. So you do want your children to portray these kind of values in life and walk. And it's good to do so early as it connects with those other steps that I gave you or tips. So thank you for coming to spend time with me today as we talked about how to manage difficult situations involving your children. And again, it's not like, okay, this is a situation, this is what you do, because I don't know all the situations you may encounter. This is a framework for things you should be doing to help when those situations and circumstances arise, that you already have this rhythm, this consistency, this practice of who you are and the way you do things. And it should help you to manage and guide yourself and your children through difficult situations. So again, thank you for spending time with us. Hey, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. If you're still here, I believe you liked the video. Please smash that like button. And until next time, have faith, be safe, and we'll see you soon.